All right, so back to this. Yeah, just yet another part. I think we're on what part? 16, I want to say. Maybe even 17. I don't know. But the thing being, right, we saw this in the last part, is that we officially made it into Act 3. We're post the Christmas event, right, which wasn't a skippable event, unlike the Halloween one. I wouldn't have skipped it regardless, but just again noting that there was such a thing, right? Again, it was enjoyable, right? Really did enjoy it. Yeah, but it's something where now that's over, and again, we're definitively into Act 3 because again, it's just a hard cutoff. We literally see the transition screen. Um, the thing being from here on out, the focus. I mean, the MC and Sayori are cemented in a relationship, so it's like there's no question about that. But from here on out, the focus is going to seem to be, kind of working on Sayori's mental health is the big thing, right? And working on that because I've been saying this, and even the MC and Sayori themselves, like pretty much like it's the one thing that doesn't want to be said, but kind of needs to be, is that the MC can only do so much, right? His main role is there is support, right? And being as her boyfriend, right? Something to where again, he can help her out there, but he can't, be the fixer and solver of all problems, right? She needs professional therapeutic, like psychiatric help there, as well as like, you know, she needs to go see a doctor too. I mean, we already know she's on the antidepressants, so just, but if they're not working, maybe try something else. But right. But again, it's something to where it's like, we'll see what comes of that too, because it's also something to where it's like we still kind of need to learn about. I still want to know and learn about what happened with the MC's parents regarding their divorce. Chances are, though, and this is the same thing with like, I also want to see the MC's mother at some point. Like, I'm hoping she comes back and we can see her. The issue being, I don't think that's going to happen. Same thing with, I don't think we're going to necessarily learn about the divorce and what happened with them. So it's like, it's just unfortunate because they're mainly served or used as like plot points, but it's also something to where the mod just has such an extreme amount of time and effort put into it in other aspects and locations. It's just you can't have everything, right? And then speaking of which, it's also something where probably the thing I've enjoyed the most about this thus far, and ironic given we're on Sayori's route, is the Yuri interactions. And this is something I've been saying and I'm going to keep on saying and harp on, is that it really just goes to show how much they care about the mod, given that they put these Yuri interactions in, right? And we've had these Yuri interactions, like for characters whose routes we aren't on, right? Just the fact that we have these interactions, and again, they're actually like good interactions, right? It really shows how much they care. Unlike certain other mods, just gonna keep naming Fallen Angel, right? Where they take the other characters, throw them in the trash bin, throw it out the window, right? And just portray them like absolute dog shit and just don't care about them whatsoever or the club. Instead, this mod really goes like it again, and I noticed it was interesting because that we haven't really had interactions with Monica and Natsuki. We've had most of ours with Yuri, which I think is interesting also given that the next person's route I plan on going on is Yuri, so it'll make for a nice transition there. It's just interesting. I would like to see more from Monica and Natsuki, but obviously just the fact that we've gotten these Yuri interactions, right? To begin with, is something that like I honestly find like it's really uplifting. It really elevates them on to that next level. It's something I've been really enjoying. It's just yeah, I really don't know what else to say because it is just like it just really does just go to show how much they actually care and how much thought, time, and effort they put into it. Again, will forever be but it's also like the unfortunate reality is will forever be disappointed about the lack of Monica route. But again, besides that, just for the three we got, just the fact that they're focusing on are actually, spending time, having these interactions with the other characters. Like again, it's definitely, for its benefit, right? It's definitely a good thing there, an enjoyable thing. I've enjoyed this far. It's what I've enjoyed most about. So funny enough, not saying I don't like Seori, but it's just because it really is. Because obviously, if you're on Seori's route, it's fairly straightforward. It's like, okay, obviously there's their romance, and then there's also Seori's deeper issues you got to worry about. It's much more up to the interpretation of the mod makers, like how they want to do the other characters whose routes you're not on. And with this in Yuri, they seemingly take an approach that, okay, Yuri, right? She was kind of in a similar situation to the MC where she doesn't really have, or she was like alone. And then I guess with like, even though she has friends in the club, she doesn't really have anything outside or any friends outside the club, right? And something where there we know it affects her more dearly than, let's say, like Natsuki or Sayori or Monica, obviously, because again, she's the one who's most shy and reclusive and introverted. So even though she's not necessarily in a relationship with the MC, still being able to spend that time with him and time with someone who she views as she can relate to or is most, I guess, open to her in that regard, right? As opposed to, let's say, Natsuki, who she's not on rocky terms with, but was on rocky terms with Monica, who's already fairly busy herself, and Sayori, who's already like in a relationship with the MC. Like, just again, spending time with the MC there, like, it just again, it's really nice what they've done with her character, even though we're not on her route, right? Obviously, Natsuki, and then Natsuki's character is fairly straightforward. Monica's character is fairly straightforward. Nothing really exceptional there. I mean, it's like we're not on their route, so it's like, but and I do wish we spent a little more time with him as opposed to all his time on Yuri, but I mean, it's still more than enough, right? Like really fleshing out Yuri's character, even though we're not on her route. It's just really is nice. And with that, like, I don't really think I should say more. And again, the custom picture, we can go to gallery. So we got two of the 8 pictures or 10 pictures, right? I don't know how those are going to be divvied up amongst 4, even 3, right? It just, the math doesn't add up, but with that, and again, what's it called? Oh yeah, the big thing being, yeah, because we had just gotten out of our interaction with Yuri, but I was also gonna say Sayori talking with her teachers and definitely implying, it's about her academics and not in a positive light, not in a good way. So again, oh, I have a weird notification on my laptop. Okay, never mind. It's just about the weather, but because there's going to be like a huge storm apparently. But again, it's something where it's like, in terms of that, it's like that's something the MC never really picked up on that, which I'm surprised. Because that's something to where, given she wasn't really that open, was talking like saying what it was about, and even like that was what I picked up on. I'm like, okay, clearly she's not doing well academically, right? But it's like the MC seemingly, I guess, just brushed over it or didn't like notice there. So I guess he'll need to figure out eventually. But and oh shoot, I'm not clicked on the screen right now, but is also something where Sayori brought up, and she'll need to bring it up with him eventually. But down in the living room, pens and paper at the right. Can't decide what this poem should be about. See, I'm not actually bothered writing a poem. I only suggest we could spend more time together. And because we know they're having an art session, once in a blue moon, right? But they're actually doing the poem writing. Really? Maneuver myself. So I'm sitting directly behind her, right? My arms around her back. Are you on the couch or what? Also, you misspelled maneuver. That's not how you spell maneuver. It's MEN. Jesus Christ. I think it's literally just that without the O. I think that's how you, or maybe it's ER at the end, not RE. How do you spell maneuver? Yeah, MANEUVER. So yeah, holy shit. They butchered that. Well, they also spelled Snickers wrong, which I'm forever gonna make that was so hilarious when we fucking went through that. But damn. Spell check, please. Like even in probably one of the most premier and notable mods, like the trailer for this, I'm pretty sure got more views than the actual game itself, right? Even it's can't escape, the spelling errors, right? Like that's just like it's not a DLC mob. It doesn't have just spelling, like massive spelling errors, right? So, but I know. So I detach myself and pull up the notepad in front of me. Yeah, you gotta do your actual homework first. Came she said she is better in creative subjects. Should have brainstorm, write her poem. It's proven to be a real eye opener. Not quite the same extent as yours. Yuri really gets lost in her own little world. She wrote, I was struck by how much attention goes into her work. She deliberately avoids cliches and has an interesting, varied rhyme scheme, which is emotive and effective, enabling the reader to vividly picture what she's talking about. To immerse yourself in the world she creates. And the best part is seeing the look on her face she wrote. The poem obviously can't hold candle, but it was at least much more enjoyable to write a poem. I mean, you also need that inspiration too. What do your homework teacher want? But again, we know because the MC's asking the question she doesn't want to answer, right? He's asking the hard questions. Clearly, it's about her academics and how she's not really performing. And been handing homework on time. Yeah, typical, right? Just been impossible to find motivation. Shit, you can sit here and write a fucking poem for hours, but you can't do homework? Like, goddamn. I'm sure. Well, here's the thing, though, right? Because here's the thing, because the MC's saying this, but he needs to remember his homeroom teacher in Mr. Sakurai, right? I've been saying teachers aren't idiots, right? Like they can like I've said it's easier to fool a professor than a high school teacher, right? Case in point, I've done so multiple times, right? But it's like again, it's something to where like they can pick up and tell when something's wrong, you know. And it's something to where the big thing being like if people just stop handing in work on time, like they're gonna be like because their pay is the same regardless of how you perform, right? It's like they don't like it's not like they're getting paid more if like they fail more people and their class is harder, right? It's like they're getting paid the same. They're just going out of their way at that point. But it's something where it's like if you just stop turning shit, they're gonna be like, hey, what's going on, right? They're not gonna immediately fucking fail you. It's like, oh, what's going on? Why aren't you turning work on time? You normally turn in work on time. Or it's like, oh, are these like deadlines? Like why aren't you able to meet these deadlines? Are they too like restrictive, like too strict there? Like should I, pull back a bit, right? It's like they usually work with you. They're not just going to immediately fail you out of the class, right? But the big thing again is like the MCs. Granted, you don't need to tell them everything. You don't need to be like, oh yeah, I have all these personal problems. You just need to be like, look, I'm gonna be honest, like Mister Whatever. I'm kind of going through some stuff on my end. I'll make it up. I'll get all this done by the end of the semester. I just need some time to work on it, and they'll be like 90% of the time they'll be more than willing to like again, if not accept the deal, just at least like work with you there. It's like again, it's not like they're these evil people, right? Like I think that's a misconception. That would be a lot of hassle. Reach over to the back, pull out the book Yuri lent. What's this? It looks scary. There's a book Yuri lent me while we were walking home. She's got the book herself. Haven't has spare. And again, it's it, right? We already know that one. Always wanted to read this book. What coincidence. Science. Sayori? Oh, sorry, I was looking at the front cover. Pretty creepy, huh? Awkward sounds. Why do you want Yuri to walk? Why did Yuri want to walk home with you? Okay, here's the thing, because now we're getting into this territory, right? It's like, because here's the issue, right? I was saying from the MC's perspective, because that was his worry. He's like, oh, if I'm walk home with Yuri, might betraying Sayori. It's like, no, she's a mutual friend of yours, and Sayori isn't walking home with you anyway, right? She has to deal with her homeroom teacher because she can't turn in her fucking homework on time, right? It's like he didn't do anything wrong. That's the big thing there, right? But obviously, I guess now in this instance, Sayori's like questioning him, like, oh, why do Yuri want to walk home with you? Like, what was that about? Like just immediately suspicious of like you're trying to like swoon in and take the MC. But it's like, dude, like, it's a mutual friend. You both know her. It's not like this random stranger the MC met. And that was what I said, right? You can have, if you're dating or like have a boyfriend, girlfriend, you can still have friends of the opposite gender, or sex, so long as it's like mutual friends. The other person knows them as well. Cause then like even in situations like this, like the MC's just gonna be like, because she doesn't have a fucking family and she's lonely, she wants a friend, right? To be able to walk home with. It's not like this massive, like secret, like maneuver plan to like swoon in and take the MC. It's like she's just lonely, right? She just wants a friend. Is that really that much? And then if it's an issue for Sayori, then the MC might need to reevaluate their relationship, right? And how possessive Sayori is over him. So again, that's just something to note there. But it's like, because Sayori also has bigger issues and problems on her mind, such as being able to still stay in school if she's not turning in her homework. Like homework is like, I hate to say homework's like brain dead, like work. Like if you're not doing homework in high school, like that's not a good sign. Cause like in college, you get actual like homework that you'll need Jesus. You'll get like actual homework that will isn't just brain dead work for you to do that you'll need to do by like whether it be the next class you have or like a certain time, and that's just due to the nature of in college, you don't have such a structured schedule. It's more flexible, but also the homework itself is much more, I guess, productive and, like actually like doing shit as opposed to like high school where it's mostly just brain dead work, right? So it's like if you're not doing homework in high school, that's a pretty bad sign. Like, unless you're in like the old 6 AP, like, okay, Monica in this instance, right? But even then, you're probably still churning out, like busting out, staying on that academic grind. But again, it's just because Sayori's suspicious. But and I don't know, because obviously I think it's just the mod makers writing Sayori to be that kind of like that, as opposed to them actually thinking it's a bad thing for the MC to do. Like that's why I was like, the MC, he's like, I see literally zero issue with it. She's like angry. He's like, I swear I'm like one second away from dumping her ass. See, come on, bro. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? So I'm not sure if I should tell Sierra about Yuri feeling really lonely. School's their friendship is Yuri's confession is. But here's the issue. What are you gonna tell her then? You're gonna say, like, oh, no reason. Like, that's like the most suspicious thing ever. Like, that's the most, you know, like that's the most like, like cover up answer you could possibly give. Like, he doesn't need to tell Sayori exactly how she's feeling. He just needs to say, "Oh, she was just feeling a bit lonely, so she wanted, walk home with a friend." Like, you don't need to be like, "Oh, her parents aren't home, right? Like, she spent Christmas alone." You don't need to say that. Just be like, "She just wanted to walk home with a friend." It doesn't need to be this big convoluted thing. You're fucking kidding me. There's no way. You're actually fucking kidding me there. You're actually joking me. Like, I'm not sure if you heard that, but I literally like flew back in my seat after reading that. There's no way he just said that. That's like the worst possible thing you can say. Why would you say that? That's that's actually so insane. He just said that. Like, unironically, like this is something you would say as like a joke. Like you would say that as a joke. Like, oh, it's top secret, right? Like you would say that as a joke. You don't say this unironic. Like, there's no the mod maker said to have put this as like a complete like there's no way they actually thought that was like this was the right thing to do. They're putting it in because of the MC being like overly secretive and like paranoia or paranoid is what's the term about like Yuri and Sayori, right? There's zero way they actually think this is good. Again, it must just be due to the MC's like own character flaws, but there's no fucking way. This was like the worst, unironically, the worst possible thing you could have said. What he should have said was that she was just feeling a bit lonely, so she wanted to walk home with a friend. That's what he should have said verbatim. He doesn't need to say, "Oh, her family wasn't home for Christmas. You know, her family wasn't home for Christmas. She gets bullied, right?" He doesn't need to bring up any of that. Just say she was feeling lonely and wanted to walk home with a friend. You don't need to say that. There's no because you say this and it's like okay, it's okay, it's just a secret, right? But then, that gets on Sayori's mind, right? It's like obviously we knew the MC, because here's the issue, right? The MC, where he's getting this from and where this is coming from, is that when Yuri asked about Sayori, the MC was like, oh, I can't really tell you, right? But Yuri took that well because it was a conversation about it wasn't really related to her in any way. It was just more so just what would you call it? Sayori in and of itself and the MC having issues with her. Versus this, where so Yuri very much views it about her because she could be paranoid that Yuri's trying to like swoop in and steal the MC, which obviously is just not realistic and isn't going to happen. But to be fair, the MC has been spending more time with Yuri, but again, they're literally in an established relationship. So it's like, it's something to where what it's like there is that's like, but there's still investment in there, right? Because all of a sudden Yuri's spending this time with the MC, so Yuri's kind of questioning it, right? So even though the MC may view this as a similar situation to and like give a similar response to when he was talking with Yuri about Sayori, and I guess the inverse now, vice versa, with Sayori about Yuri. It's very much not. And him saying this is probably the worst thing you could have possibly said. Why not? It's personal. Okay. Yuri's just going through some difficult. Okay. Good thing he elaborated. I thought he was just gonna leave it off there, and it's like, dude, there's no way you just said that. But he's elaborating, which is good. We're friends. I guess you wanted to talk to me. You like spending time with him. Okay, here's the thing though. At this point, that's not even on the MC. I was like, the MZ dropped this, and I was like, there's no way he's just gonna leave it at that. Thank God he like elaborate. This is a reasonable explanation. She's going through some difficult times and she wanted to just have a friend to talk to. That's not unreasonable. Sayori can be as paranoid as she wants, but it doesn't change the fact, right? Is that normal between friends? Of course it is. I'm glad you two get along so well. 2-1 Christmas shop. We know where this is going because she's inadvertently, she's what would you call it? Inexplicably or implicitly, right? Basically accusing the MC of like trying to like hook up with Yuri. Because that's why she's also bringing this up. She wouldn't bring this up if she wasn't trying to prove that point, right? You know, I mean, she's not going to say it out loud, but she's certainly trying to prove a point here. But the issue being, and here's the issue, right? Because now all of a sudden, this looks bad for Sayori or like for her character, right? You know, and her condition, because we know she's struggling with academics and we know she's struggling with her mental state, right? You know, not just again around her depression, but her own confidence with like, okay, you know, is the MC worth my time? But all of a sudden, now that Yuri's in the picture, right? You know, she's becoming possessive and you know over him, right? It's something where it's like the MC, he needs to be careful because he needs to recognize this, right? He's like, okay, why is Sayori being like uber possessive over me, especially when she's got her own issues going on? And then B, it's like, is this something I deal with and like actually like confront her about, or like because he needs to keep his own, you know, interests in mind, right? It's like if Sayori is gonna all of a sudden just character flip and become possessive over him, right? It's like, is this really in my best interest? Like, is this really a healthy relationship if Sayori's going to be that possessive over me? And maybe he needs to cut things off, right? You know, it was a bit idealistic for him to assume they could have made something when we know her mental state isn't the greatest, right? You know, not saying he should run off to Yuri, but saying like the issue being if this is the way that Sayori's going to act over the MC and him spending time with the other members of the club, then maybe they shouldn't be together. Like that's just being blunt because obviously, and it depends on what the mod makers are going for. Like the mod makers, and it's this is generally the issue. Because on one hand, they could genuinely view this as like a betrayal of trust, the MC walking home with Yuri, which is ridiculous, right? Or it's more so they're trying to show their character flaws, right? And that, you know, they're not perfect people and they're not in a perfect, you know, relationship. There's paranoia as well as, you know, this kind of, you know, anxiety surrounding it, right? So, but again, who knows? Because there are certain mods where when especially like Fallen Angel is a good example where like you can tell by the writing the mod makers like genuinely wrote it as like a Yuri mod, you know, and they just I guess didn't care about the rest of the characters, right? But it's like, you know, I guess we'll see here. She's actually really good at suggestions. Take ages in stationary shop. But here's the thing: obviously, the MC doesn't see where this is going. He doesn't see that Sayori's implicitly accusing him of spending time with Yuri at their own expense. Seems a little tense. It's just tense think of all the homework. I get going. Yeah, because the MC, he didn't notice two things. He didn't notice that he didn't notice. He didn't pick up on the two things. He didn't pick up that Sayori was struggling with her academics, and he didn't pick up on that Sayori was basically implicitly accusing him of spending time with Yuri at their expense, right? And this second one, you know, you also went that was like, okay, we know where she's getting at here, right? You know, I'm not the greatest when it comes to women. I feel like that's an obvious statement given, you know, what I'm doing right now in this video. But it's like, come on, after a line like that, you got to be like, okay, what are you getting at here? Like, what are you trying to prove? Like, what point are you trying to prove? What are you trying to say here? To the door. You can always ask, come on, if the MC doesn't get it by this point, he's just absolutely fucking like brain dead. Okay, but here's the thing. At this point in the MC's shoes, you got to be like, okay, Sayori, like, if like, are you really this paranoid about Yuri? Like, are you this like worried that Yuri's gonna like swoop in and you know take over our relationship? Like, you need to confront her about this because like all this like implicit, you know, passive bullshit like isn't gonna work out, right? Like the end after hearing this, MC's gotta be like, okay, what's your deal with Yuri? Like we are mutual friends. We both know Yuri. We know what kind of person she likes. What I've been saying is truthful and more than reasonable enough about her just needing a shoulder to lean on. Like, if it's that much of an issue, maybe we shouldn't be in a relationship. Like, that's what he needs to say at this point, right? It's like he needs to be obviously he hasn't picked up on it, but it's like there's only so much like of this you can take, right? And I think it's generally, I hate to like, go on a tangent, right? I think it's generally an issue with like men in society where they allow themselves to like get walked on because it's not even necessarily about like completely dominating their relationship. I mean, this like alpha Chad, testosterone, like masculine, like figure, right? It's just the big thing is don't let yourself get like stepped on and walked all over, right? And the issue being of precedent, right? Like if the MC like, and this is the issue, right? If the MC isn't gonna, respond to Sayori's basically like, almost like an accusation here. I mean, he hasn't picked up on it. It's like, okay, what precedent are you setting for your relationship moving forward? They're still, a new couple, right? It's like, are you just gonna let her walk over you here? Like, that's definitely not a mutual relationship. If this is something like he's never really questioned. Say, granted, there was the one time he did say like, "Oh, Sayori's like mine." It's like, okay, dude, chill the fuck out, right? This is when they're getting like food or something. But it's like, again, he just, yeah, hold on, yeah, it's just, I don't know. We'll see what happens because it's genuinely like if my significant other, my girlfriend were like being this way towards me, I'll be like, okay, listen, if this is that much of an issue, like, is this really that much of an issue for you? Because I want to identify if that's the issue or if they're just mad about something else and then taking advantage of this, right? It's like, is this that much of an issue? We both know her, and then try a reason. We both know her. She's a mutual friend. We know who type of person she is. It's more than reasonable enough, right, for her to rely on not just me, but one of us, as a good friend, right? Because she doesn't really have anyone else, right? We know what kind of person she is. She's lonely. And then, if that doesn't work, then it's like, okay, then you break out like, look, if this is going to be an issue, then maybe you should be in a relationship, right? Because again, it's like if you're just gonna let your significant other control what friends you can or cannot have, then it's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be in a relationship, right? And again, the big thing here being Yuri's a mutual friend. Like again, like I said, you can have friends of the opposite gender if you're in a relationship, so long as it's like mutual. Like that's more than reasonable enough here. So Yuri's gonna be that, possessive over him. It's like, okay, maybe it's in his best interest not to be in a relationship. Better company than I am. Yeah, shut your bitch ass up. Get the fuck out of here. She closed the door and left there, wondering what that was all about. Obviously, he doesn't get, but it's like, because here's the thing. The issue being Sayori also can't guilt trip and then basically gaslight him into staying in a relationship because of her mental issues too. Right? This is again, it's just Jesus Christ. Because that's also the worry that if he's gonna try to leave, she'll be like, oh, but I have still all these mental issues. Like, what am I gonna do? It's like you should have thought about that before you accused us of basically almost like trying to cheat on you. Hmm. So many times you need to prioritize your own interests over that of your significant other. That's just the reality of it, right? Again, not saying to be like this dominant force in the relationship, but like actually like look out for yourself. Perhaps she had a fight with Yuri. Jesus. Damn. You have like cancer or something? Fight with Yuri. Obviously, we know that's not the MC. How long? I guess here's a guess. How long will it take for him to realize? I give it like a day or two. I think that's more reasonable. I give it like a day or two before the MC kind of realizes what this is about. I guess who knows, right? I mean, the explainer she seemed angry. I'm too tired. Bro, oh my god. Fucking the MC. He's like, I was just asking about like, come on, dude. I'm too tired to think this one over. It's still daylight out. Come on, dude. Like, please put your brain to it, please. Oh my god, bro. Is this really the direction Act 3 is taking? If I'm gonna choose if I had to choose right now, I'd choose Yuri based on how Sayori acted towards us. Like, if I had to choose right now, that's what I choose. I hate to say it, but it's like feeling refreshed after a decent night's sleep. Again, Sayori isn't going to come out though because she's giving the MC the cold shoulder. Also, I was going to say, is this a different snow background? I don't think it is. Shows no mercy, especially this early. Before you know, oh wow, she actually came and is walking. So, your service is fine winter. I was curious. Is your dude? Oh my god, she's here's the thing. It's good though that she's not giving him the cold shoulder because that's immediately what I thought would happen. That she would just ignore him and not walk to school. She's at least willing to engage in a conversation. Again, but obviously we know she's on the whole Yuri shit, right? So we know it's been on her mind. Not including you, I don't really have any. None of them are as awesome as you. I like one of them more in the R's. Where's this? Dude, please, MC, please, God, pick up on this. Notice this. Like, why son interest? Just wanted to know you're getting along with the others. See, definitely not. Damn, he was like, what? I didn't expect him to say that. What the fuck? He's like, not Natsuki, hate her. Got feel she likes me. It's always awkward. Walked her once and it was a painful experience. Oh, I guess. Well, wasn't he a first year? The fuck you mean? Her last semester should have been the first one. Because we know they're the spring semester now. Last semester was the fall one. So it's like, but damn, what the fuck? It's like, shit, but let's see. Here's the thing though. So then that leaves it between Yuri and Malakov. So, but we know what's going to happen. He's going to pick Yuri. So Yuri's going to be like, oh, wow, what a coincidence. You're spending all this time with Yuri, right? Now, what about Malakov? Compared to Natsuki, definitely. And that's a good thing. I mean, they also had a class together. I told her how much I liked the club just before we performed. Leave me alone, intimidating. I mean, because she's busy with her own shit. She's just trying to live her life, you know. Nervously scratched the back of my head. You're the perfect student law. Maybe imagine it. Sometimes I get the impression she might like down me. Dude, she's literally just trying to fucking live her life, dog. You think she wants to be doing the shit she's doing? No. Granted, it doesn't mean she doesn't get a superiority complex. So I guess he does have a point here, but because I definitely knew one of these kinds of people in college. I 100 not high school, but college. I 100% knew one of these people. I used to be friends with them. Not really. I pretty much cut off that whole friend group since COVID started. It was just there was too much drama, too much involved. So it was like better for my own personal health, or my own like well-being and like interests there. But it was like I definitely knew someone like that who was like that kind of, and then like looked down on everyone else. And it's like, okay, like congrats, guy. Like definitely appreciate all of our hard work for the club. Much like Natsuki, never really spent time together. So I wouldn't say she's my favorite. What about Yuri? So you're really trying hard to really appear nonchalant. Isn't working. He should be like, nah, I fucking hate Yuri. He should be like, oh, I hate Yuri. Like she's a piece of shit, and then see how Sayori reacts there. Like, and then he's like, I'm joking. But obviously he still doesn't get it. He still hasn't picked up on it yet, right? Which I said a day or two, so we still got one more day. I'd probably say her. I got to know her a little better over the last semester. She went from someone who could barely maintain eye contact, someone who agreed to go shopping when it was just us. So I see her come out of Charlotte. Let me see a real her. That's what I thought. Is everything, dude? Come on, bro. How is he not picked up on this shit? Come on, dude. It's like really like because it's so painful. It's like an outside party, like third party observer watching this shit. Do you have an argument? Between those two having fallen out of all people. It's extremely rare for Sayori to get angry. The fact that share personalities don't clash at all. And to be fair, at least he's bringing it up, right? Because obviously Sayori's got to be like, either she fesses up, mans up and fesses up and say like, look, I don't like all the time you're spending together, right? Like, because she can be honest there, or she could just beat around the bush, but then the MC's gonna figure out anyway and be like and confront her. So it's like, what could it be? Of course not, silly. I was just a bit surprised how friendly she's been with you. How shy she is. I'm just curious too. I'm a bit surprised. School is looming in sight, so unfortunately our conversation will have to end. See, as far as you can tell, 1930s were very important for European history. Oh shit, that was when countries started to go fucking beast mode in terms of like what their like revolutions and shit. Right? And that was when the depression was starting to it was just picking up at that point, right? We're experiencing significant changes politically and socially. My New Year's resolution to MLS before the bell rings. Dude, that's literally like you're going out of your way for going beyond the bell. By the way, could I have bro, dude, the MC like he's always fucking up. Always getting in trouble in soccer, right? Like fucking everything. I'm we have to talk, or it's not you, it's me, dude. It's it's not you, it's me. Fucking hell. It's like okay, I mean, like, well, shit. Siori might pull, and it's not you, it's me. You know, on the MC, right? Who knows? Things I won't hear from Siori, especially the second one. Wait, what was the second one? We have to talk. What about the first one? You guys are still what in high school, like 18? Need to give you the results of your exam. He's like, yeah, you failed. Wait, but why'd you call him out in particular? What about everyone else? Uh, I need to give you the results of your exam. And lowers his voice. Some students are in. You don't have to look like you've seen a ghost. I want back to last October. Funny you should mention ghosts. Most part you've done what? Your grades in history, Japan. Oh, because this is also homeroom, right? So they consolidate all the grades of everyone to their homeroom teacher, and then their homeroom teacher gives it to them, right? Being the electric club has really helped. How'd you know about that? He's like, I know everything. Listen, he shouldn't even be surprised at that point. Like the MC shouldn't be surprised. Like, is it something to where again, teachers aren't idiots, right? It's something to where what would you call it? Like I wouldn't be surprised if they don't know. Granted, obviously you never told them, but it's like I just wouldn't be surprised if they figured out elsewhere. Please, I'm a wise old owl. Aren't you one of the youngest teachers in school? Let's see. You never let me have my fun. Oh, your grades on our subjects could be a little bit better. Namely math and physics. Damn, he's not going to go on to become a rocket scientist. Knew better about that. Truth be told, last semester was kind of hectic. Relationship stuff. So, oh my god, dude! Because this is like just proved my point. Teachers aren't idiots, right? So like him, like saying that, like this is gonna really cause the MC to rile up. But it's like, again, pretty much like honestly, because they've reached a point, definitely reached a point to where it's like, you know, to where it's like it's not. I don't want to say it's painfully obvious, but they're certainly not going out of their way to keep it a secret and hide it, right? How'd you know? His eyes twinkle with annoyance now. You're a bright student. What do you want to be? So breathe a sigh of relief. He's like, because 100% it's like if they were keeping it a secret and then he said that, okay, maybe I'd be surprised, like cause for concern. But it's not exactly like they're keeping it a secret. They're going out of their way to hide it. So it's like, hey, touch on technical stuff from math and physics. Ask out what's it. Not everyone kicks out everything. I have faith in your ability. Bring your grapes up. See, past 2 months weren't easy. Relationships are tricky. I was able to keep up academically. All for a shrewd smile. Of course, just be careful not to make Seaward jealous. Dude, oh my god, this is fucking G. Sakurai is really like the G of this fucking mod. He's really wait. I'm God. Hold on, which it was a Yuri mod. I'm not sure it was Outcast. It was where we saw the bully. I think it was the bully from Outcast, right? Where he was actually, such like a great character. Uh Maybe it was an Outcast. I don't know. That's the one I'm kind of remembering. But yeah, it's like because they actually had a name. I just don't remember, but it's like out of like, other mods that had other characters. Wallace is an iconic one from the fucking festival. He's iconic, right? But I remember specifically the one bully from I think it was Outcast. It was a pretty like good character there. But again, now we got Sakurai. He's like saying, from what I've seen, he chuckles to himself. I gotta mean I have to pretend to be interested in. There really is no rest for the wicked. He turns to leave as soon as I turn to follow. My brain keeps replaying his words. Be careful. And again, because now he's like, oh, that's why she's angry, right? On my phone, notes text from Monica. A group chat. Just been told the club room is being used after school. Okay, so no meeting? For a supervision, what the fuck? It's for a supervision session for people to talk to their teachers about exam grades. Some of these human boys popped up, which means I can't make it. I'll do my best to rearrange it. Sorry, guys. Should reply while on autopilot. My brain's worrying a million miles an hour. I finally realized. So he always starts conversation. My teacher gave me my exam results back. Oh, you failed. It's like, can't really complain. Much better I thought I would for biology. Physics was a bit of a nightmare. Math wasn't great. Well, I think I've done okay. Are you, dude? The MC, please, please. Oh my god, dude. That's not something you ask someone. Like, I mean, here's the thing. Dude, the MC is like no filter. Like, oh my god, bro. The MC is zero filter. That's something like you normally bring it up, right? But you in a roundabout way, you kind of inquire like, oh, like I mean, he already brought it up with Sayori before, but he can bring it up now. He can be like, oh, like have you seen like Yuri or something? Like be like, oh, you know, like have you I don't know, but just like you don't just straight up say it. Like he could have been like, oh, have you spent time with like Yuri recently? Like I was wondering about this, right? And then once you kind of bait her in, she's like, oh no, I haven't, right? Then you can be like, oh, she seems a bit like I wouldn't even necessarily like if anything, you could be like, oh, Yuri was like talked like she talked you up, like she like said all these good things about you, right? And go, or again, I guess you could just fucking go guns blazing, right? I went the classroom conversation topic. Takes a rest prize. For a moment, there's silence. Sounds just grows heavy. I realize how yeah, come on, dude. Like it was like he just said that. I'm like, dude, there's no way. The dude is like zero filter. You used to think that you're my girlfriend, but known you for years. Well, shit, not enough. We have to be jealous of. Trying to sound confident, but the waver in voice gives her away. They spend time together at Christmas shopping, her walk. At least because he's now realizing, and from Mr. Sakurai's words, right? He's realizing that, oh, this was what it was, right? You know, when she replies, she's talking to the ground. I'm sorry. It's just you seem so happy with her. Just friends. I would have thought you could see that. Don't you trust me? Not sure I want to hear the answer. It's not that I don't trust you. It's just that trying to believe I'm worth your time. Then you hear about how she's your fit. Dude, like, come on, bro. Because at this point, like, let's be real here. At this point, like, Sayori's like borderline. Like, obviously, we know she's dealing with her mental illness. But at this point, she's borderline, guilt tripping and gaslighting the MC here, right? Like, let's be real here. Like, and that's like, comes from that's why you deal with like mental illness crap before you actually, get in an established relationship, right? Because like this is basically like borderline guilt tripping, gaslighting the MC, right? But then there's also the way of her trauma dumping him too. Asking me, it all makes sense. First impression, now jealousy. Senior one, I'll come with you. So you couldn't tell me that was on the MC because that was like the worst thing he could have said. Like, I blame the MC for that. That's entirely on him. Like, back force. Yeah, come on, dude. Like, he elaborated. He should have just said, like, look, she was feeling lonely and she needed a friend to talk to. That's more than reasonable enough. I mean, it's not like I doubted you. Oh, wow. I was like, we're already home? Continue to press her. It's not your fault. I don't really see it from your perspective at all. Even I say you're the only one you want. You're a great friend. That's it. The feelings I felt. Listen, if I had to choose between Sayori and Yuri at this moment, it'd be like a hard choice. Like if I'm being entirely honest. Again, the issue being, to be fair, it's also partially because the MC didn't realize it until he got the tip from Mr. Sakurai. But Stroker clings to behind her face and folds my blazer. I'm the one who should be apologized. I'm just totally new to relationships. I didn't have a clue what I'm doing. I didn't think you're doing it to hurt me or anything. So I never do anything to hurt you. I've been such an idiot. Yours been feeling really lonely. We feel Sayori and what you're telling me. Sure, if I should be telling him. At this point, I'm much more concerned with complete clarity. Again, if he would have just said that from the get-go, he would have been worried. Makes a lot of sense thinking about it. Like, can't help but think. It's not the ground, nervously biting her lip. I feel like Yuri likes you. Well, shit, what are you gonna do? Fucking mind controller? Like, you can't do anything about that. Like, it's like I don't know what to tell you. You can't just change how people feel. Like, that's just kind of the reality of the situation, right? You just got to deal with it. Like, even if she does, what are you going to do? Like, oh, just completely cut her off from your life. That's how you create, like, unironically, that's how you create, like, school shooters. Like, Yuri would, I hate saying, I could see that happening to Yuri, but it's like, that's not, the move there, right? Like, you can't just go and change how people feel. Like that's naive and idealistic. Like if she does, okay, so long as there's clarity and transparency regarding it, and that she understands that the MC and Sayori in a relationship. Because granted, this would be an issue if Sayori didn't know Yuri and it was just the MC who's friends with Yuri. That would be a much bigger issue because that's usually what leads to cheating, right? But since she's a mutual friend, she knows both of them. Even Sayori has this sneaking suspicion. Really? You can be dense. Sad playfulness. She's trying to spend more time with you. She really appreciates your company. Tell the way she looks at you. I think she gets attached. But it's also, that's just more due to her own personal situation. Since she knew we were together, didn't want to intrude. Sayori, maybe I was right then. About what? About me just dragging you down. dude, okay, come on, bro. Like at this point, Sayori's just trauma dumping and like, fucking like gaslighting the MC here, like in guilt tripping him. Like, let's be here real here. This is why you don't like. This is again. This was the big thing. Is like that's what I said. Like his focus should have been on her mental illness, right? Because at this point, she's basically, like I said, trauma dumping, guilt tripping, and gaslighting him now for like spending time with Yuri. And then it's like, okay, well, I don't know what you want me to do here. Like, just completely cut off contact. Like, that ain't gonna happen, right? She's only she was with you, she'd be happy. So she's pretty, she's elegant. What am I, just an errand? Can't even find time to get ready in the morning. So much more than that. If you're the most desirable girl, I wouldn't give a damn because you're the only person I want. When I was walking with Yuri, I couldn't help but wish that was you I was with. One time we didn't walk together, but one time all I need to realize how much I enjoy walking home with you. Find time to get ready in the morning. Still beautiful even when you don't try. Just saying that though. Well, damn, we're all just saying shit, right? We all just speak out of our mouths. 100% genuine. These are things I've always wanted to say. And I've never really known how. But here's the thing: what's the precedent this is setting and moving forward? Because like the issue being the MC just can't completely cut off contact with everyone else because that's seemingly the direction that's headed. And that way he only speaks to Sayori and Sayori only speaks to him and they don't speak to anyone else. And it's like, that's not how that shit works. Because chances are, unless they get like married and even so, like not get a divorce, right? They're not gonna, be in a relationship for the rest of their lives. So it's like they can't just only spend time with each other. That's not how that shit works. It's not sustainable. It's like, so like you need to raise the question of, okay, what's the future of this relationship? What's the future of our relationship with the literature club, right? What's going to happen there? What's going on there? But because the MC can say this shit, but it's like, okay, you need to realize what direction you're heading in with, again, what you're saying in the precedent you're setting. Every day I feel so goddamn lucky. You're always there for me when I need it the most. I don't think I've ever told you how happy you make me. Getting's close, and I can sense the urgency touch. It's impossible to describe how it feels to hold her in this moment. Don't really care. All right, so back to this fight. There isn't really not much more to record. I got like about 10 more minutes, but again, right here we are on the screen. Much prefer your quirkiness now, say we could be. But here's the issue, and this is the issue of, and again, I don't know if the mod makers genuinely believe that because again, there are some mod makers who like they write the story like basically as they view would actually be like the best sort of, what would be best for the characters, right? Or what best is best for their situation. Like, but there are some where that also they include the character flaws in the character's decision making process. And I'm not sure if the mod makers genuinely view that what Sayori's doing here is right, or like what the MC is doing is right, or if they're including their character flaws. And then again, like going from that perspective of being flawed, right? Because the issue here is that, okay, what precedent are you saying? Like, because basically what he's saying here and what the inherent worry and issue is if Sayori's that worried about Yuri and he's willing to, it raises that question of, okay, what's he going to do about it? Like, is he going to cut her off? Like, stop talking to her, break contact? And it's like, then what about everyone else? Like, are they just only going to see each other, not speak to anyone else? Like, how is that possible? See, we really do have this history. History that I'll never trade for anything. Please don't leave me. Being selfish. You are. I'm being 100% honest here. Like, it's still so confusing. When I'm with you, I feel warm. I think, well, for just a moment, everything will be okay. This is why you work on this shit before you actually get an established relationship. It's like, because until she's okay, it's gonna be this way, right? Let's be real here. And it's like, that's just not healthy, right? You don't understand why you care so much. I trust you. Glad I really am. If I'm being honest. See, we can't do this alone. I think we should look good. The one good suggestion he's brought up. She looks away. I'll obviously be here for you. I'm just a normal team. Good. He's actually making some sense here and talking some sense into her. He actually has a point. See, why not? It's just, well, shit. What's the alternative? Being like this for the rest of your life? Like, that's the question you need to ask. What is, and this is what people don't ask enough is, okay, what's the alternative to what I'm doing or what my current plan and goals, right? Or what's the alternative to this like option, right? It's like, okay, the alternative to gain therapy is just being this way the rest of your life. That false hope. Again, tried an antidepressants. That was what the pills were. I was first diagnosed. Told me it'd work. They told me I'd feel okay, but that never happened. But here's the issue. What were you? So you didn't just change it all, right? Was it better to try than to just not do anything to begin with? She brings up false hope, but it's also like maybe the program you went through was just flawed. Like, because there are however many other, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who have gone through this and it has worked out for them and they've come out better. Or maybe the question being, was it the program or are you just going to generalize, right? There's a million times scarier and more confusing. All those test questions, the drugs. What was wrong with me? The whole thing is terrifying. Who'd give a medical profession? What I'd give to be a shit, give fucking doctorates, right? I had no idea. I wouldn't have expected you to know. Would you believe me? I said things would be different this time around. How would you know that? I wouldn't. He's like, because I'm different. If we leave this unchecked, how would things change? And the issue being, she actually has a shoulder to fall back on with the MC. That's why he comes clutching that support role. Things are different because he's here now. When she went through before, he wasn't, but he's here now. That's the one thing he can change, and influence. It's been really hard. I can only imagine what you're going through. Till you get what you'd be reluctant. Sam, I'll be here. Again, that's the point. He's actually talking some sense. See, well, we'll get through it together, remember? If it doesn't work again, find our doctor until it does. Well, if it doesn't work again, right, then again, like I said, it's the doctor or therapist. It's not going to be that easy. I know, but I'm never going to give up. Never going to give you up. So I don't care how long it takes. Well, what's the alternative? Being this way the rest of your life? How much you care our peoples, but I want you, bold Lars, to be happy. Deserve that. If our people deserve happiness, why don't you? So ask yourself, please, for me, okay, for you. The weight's been lifted. Finally, I feel like I'm not alone trying to help see you. It's almost been a difficult thing to agree to. I'm proud of you. It's braver than you realize. Although I haven't been too pushy. I encourage you, not force you. Something we'll have had to try sooner or later. There's always the chance therapy might fail again. It's also your way. Again, that's the big thing. It's like, what's the alternative? I'm coldly convinced. Smiles anyway. I'll do it for you. I'm not going to hold my breath, but if it makes you happy, I'll give it a try. That's all I can ask for. It means a lot that you'd be willing to try again. So hope this time it works out better. I'll take you to my doc. I'll talk to my doctor tomorrow. See, dude, I'm gonna end it here. Why the fuck are they giving us this choice, dude? Why the fuck are they giving us this? Granted, it could. I'm gonna pause it here. I'm gonna end it here. This could be, what would you call it? Because here's the thing. Remember back to Longer Roads, I got 2 of the 4 endings wrong. Because there's a good ending and a bad ending for each. There's also some of a neutral ending. And it all boils down to one choice you make. 2 of the 4 of them we got wrong. Things aren't so obvious. That's what I want to say. This choice came out of absolute nowhere, which was also caught off guard. And I'm like, okay, duh, obviously you want to go with her, but maybe it's not so obvious. Maybe there's a catch, right? Because the reality is, the MC obviously can be there to support, but he can't be there for everything. And especially compared to, a licensed therapist, right? Psychiatrist and like an actual doctor. It's like, granted, obviously we're going to go with here because also the difference is that he's here. But again, that's something you're going to hold off until the next part. I'm really surprised we get this option compared to other options. And my guess is that depending on the options you pick from here on out, it's quite possible that determines what ending you get, since we know there's both good and bad ones. But with that, I don't really have anything else to say, so I'm just going to end it here. So, yep, that's it for this one. See you in the next one.